Imagine this. You're sitting in the beautiful London Palladium. The lights dim, the crowd buzzes with excitement, and out of nowhere, Johnny Depp walks onto the stage. Yes, that Johnny Depp, the Hollywood icon. The man from Pirates of the Caribbean, the guy who's been through all kinds of ups and downs in the public eye. And now he's standing next to rock legend Patti Smith, guitar in hand. It's one of those moments that makes the audience gasp before the applause even starts. If you've been following Johnny Depp lately, you probably know his life has been full of twists. Courtroom drama, movie comebacks, and now a renewed love for music. But this appearance with Patti Smith wasn't just another random celebrity cameo. It was something deeper. A collaboration that said a lot about art, friendship, and the power of music to bring people together. So what really happened that night? Let's break it down. The event was part of Patti Smith's Horses' 50th anniversary tour. Think about that for a second. Half a century since one of the most influential albums in rock history. Horses changed everything for punk and poetry and music. To celebrate, Patti planned a series of shows around the world, and London's Palladium was one of the big ones. Fans were already expecting an unforgettable night. Patti performed Horses front to back, track by track. She brought out her longtime collaborators, guitarist Lenny Kaye, drummer J.D. Doherty, her son Jackson Smith on guitar, and her daughter Jessie on keyboards. It was already shaping up to be an emotional, once-in-a-lifetime concert. But then came the encore. Patti began introducing her band one by one, the crowd cheering after each name. Then she paused, smiled, and said, "And Johnny? And Johnny Depp?" The original Johnny. That one line set the room on fire. It was a cheeky reference to one of her own lyrics from Land. The boy looked at Johnny. Fans erupted. And then out walked Depp, guitar slung low, ready to play. He joined Patti for her iconic song, People Have the Power. Jessie Smith was on keyboards and Johnny added his guitar to the mix. The energy in the room shifted instantly. The crowd went wild, phones in the air, eyes wide with disbelief. You could feel the joy and surprise ripple through everyone there. It wasn't just another celebrity sighting, it was a genuine rock and roll moment. And here's what makes it even more interesting. This wasn't the first time Johnny and Patti have shared a stage. Depp's connection to music runs deep. Long before Hollywood fame, he was a musician. In fact, he only turned to acting after music gigs didn't pan out in his early days. Over the years, he's kept that passion alive, playing guitar, collaborating with artists, and even forming the supergroup Hollywood Vampires with Alice Cooper and Joe Perry back in 2012. So, this London performance wasn't some impulsive stunt. It was a full-circle moment for him, back where he feels most at home, surrounded by music legends. And Patti Smith? She's more than just a rock star. She's a poet, an activist, a cultural force. Her songs have always carried messages about rebellion, freedom, and truth. Having Depp on stage with her wasn't just a fun surprise. It symbolized two creative spirits connecting through shared ideals and mutual respect. You could tell by the way they looked at each other, smiling as they played. It wasn't rehearsed PR. It was pure, raw chemistry. Now some people might raise their eyebrows. Is Johnny just doing this to stay in the spotlight? It's a fair question. After all, the man's been through some pretty public controversies. But looking at his history, it's hard to call this a publicity grab. Depp has worked with Patti before. Earlier this year, he joined a huge tribute concert in New York called People Have the Power, a celebration of Patti Smith. Big names were there. Bruce Springsteen, Michael Stipe from REM, and Depp wasn't just hanging around backstage. He was performing on stage right alongside them. Clearly, he's not just dabbling. He's part of that world, and that's why his appearance in London felt authentic. He wasn't pretending to be something he's not. He was just being Johnny, the artist, the friend, the guitarist. You could see how much it meant to him, how comfortable he looked up there. For fans who followed his acting career, it was like getting a glimpse of a whole different side of him. The one that's not scripted or directed. Just him and his guitar, lost in the moment. Of course, not everyone will see it that way. Some will still think it's about image rehabilitation or a PR move. But when you watch the clips, when you hear the roar of the crowd and the sound of that final chord, it feels real. There's no faking that kind of connection between artist and audience. And maybe that's what makes it so special. It wasn't about controversy or comeback stories. It was about music doing what it does best, bringing people together and reminding us that art doesn't belong to headlines. It belongs to the moment. Here's a detail that might have slipped past most people. When Patti called Depp the original Johnny, it wasn't just a casual line. It was actually a clever reference to her own lyrics from Land. It's like she was pulling him right into her creative universe, giving him a place within her story. For longtime fans, that small moment spoke volumes. It showed how seamlessly he fit into her world. And there's another layer to all of this. Something deeper that makes Johnny Depp's appearance with Patti Smith even more meaningful. You see, in early 2023, Johnny lost one of his closest friends, the legendary guitarist Jeff Beck. If you're familiar with classic rock, you know Jeff wasn't just any musician. He was one of the most respected guitarists to ever live. A man who influenced everyone from Eric Clapton to Jimmy Page. But to Johnny Depp, Jeff Beck wasn't just a musical hero. He was family. Their friendship began years ago, quietly at first. Depp had always admired Beck's talent. Jeff, on the other hand, saw something genuine in Johnny, beyond the fame and the movie star glamour. He saw a fellow artist, someone who truly loved music. They bonded over blues, over late-night jam sessions, over a shared passion for sound and storytelling. It wasn't about Hollywood or headlines. It was about creation. About two people who found comfort in music when life off stage got too loud. When the world shut down during the pandemic, their connection grew even stronger. While many of us were locked indoors trying to find something to keep us sane, Depp and Beck were in the studio, making music. Together, they created the album 18, which came out in 2022. The title came from something Jeff said, about how playing with Johnny made him feel like he was 18 again. That one line captures everything about their friendship. It was rejuvenating, playful, filled with curiosity and warmth. You could hear that energy in the songs they made together, from covers of classic tracks to deeply personal originals. When Jeff Beck passed away in January 2023, it hit Johnny hard. Fans who saw him around that time described him as heartbroken, but also reflective. He didn't make a big public statement. That's not his style. But those close to him said it was like losing a brother. Beck had been more than a collaborator. He'd been a mentor, a steady hand during some of the most chaotic years of Depp's life. Through all the noise of legal battles and media frenzy, Beck offered him something rare, quiet friendship and artistic trust. When you find that kind of bond, it stays with you forever. After Jeff's passing, Johnny stepped away from the spotlight for a bit. He took time to heal, to process, to find his footing again. But the thing about music is, it doesn't let you stay quiet for too long. Sooner or later, it calls you back. And that's what made his appearance with Patti Smith so powerful. It wasn't just a random jam session. It was part of his healing. Playing with Patti, another artist who embodies integrity, truth, and poetry, felt like a continuation of what he had with Jeff. A way of keeping that spirit alive. Both Patti and Jeff come from the same lineage of music, that raw, emotional, soul-stirring kind. They both believe in music as something sacred, something that connects people beyond fame or fortune. By stepping on stage with Patti, Johnny wasn't replacing Jeff. He was honoring him. It was like saying, the music doesn't stop. The people may change, but the song goes on. There's something beautiful about that. The idea that when one chapter ends, another opens, carrying pieces of the old one with it. If you watch the video of that performance, you can almost see it. The way Johnny holds his guitar, not like an actor pretending to be a rock star, but like someone who's lived every note. The focus in his eyes, the emotion in his playing. He's not trying to steal the spotlight. He's blending into the music, letting it speak for him. That's something he learned from Beck, that the guitar isn't just an instrument, it's a voice. And sometimes when words fail, that voice says everything you need to say. You can also sense Patti's awareness of that. She's been around long enough to recognize when someone is playing from the heart. There's a moment in that performance where she looks over at Depp and smiles. Not just a stage smile, but one of those quiet, knowing smiles that says, yeah, I get it. It's the look of one artist recognizing another's vulnerability. In that brief exchange, you can feel the torch being passed from Beck's era of electric experimentation to Patti's poetic rebellion, all finding a home in Depp's quiet resilience. And here's the thing about Johnny Depp that people sometimes forget. He's always been a musician first. Acting came later, almost by accident. When he was younger, his dream wasn't to be in front of a movie camera, it was to be on stage with a guitar. Losing Jeff Beck didn't just mean losing a friend. It meant losing someone who represented that dream, that musical part of his soul. So when he plays now, whether it's in small bars or big concerts, it's not for fame. It's for love. Love of sound, love of memory, love of connection. That's why this moment with Patti Smith feels like more than just another celebrity cameo. It's a full-circle moment for him. Standing on that stage, surrounded by legendary musicians, he wasn't acting. He was living. You could tell that every note was a quiet tribute, a message to the friend he lost saying, "I'm still here. I'm still playing. And I'll carry what we built together wherever I go." And maybe that's why the audience reacted the way they did. Even if they didn't know every detail, they could feel it. That kind of authenticity doesn't need explanation. It radiates. You don't have to know about Jeff Beck or their album or their history to sense the emotion. You can just hear it in the sound, see it in the way Johnny closes his eyes mid-song, or the way Patti lets her voice rise with his guitar. It's one of those unspoken things that live music captures so perfectly. Grief turning into gratitude, pain transforming into art. So, yes, Johnny Depp's moment with Patti Smith was surprising. But beneath that surprise was a story about friendship, loss, and healing. It was about a man finding his way back to the stage, not as a Hollywood star, but as a musician carrying the spirit of someone he loved. In many ways, Jeff Beck's influence was right there that night, in the notes, in the tone, in the quiet strength that carried through the song. The two of them may no longer share the stage, but through music, that connection will never fade. And every time Johnny picks up a guitar, a little bit of Jeff Beck's magic plays along with him. Earlier this year, when Depp joined that Patti Smith tribute show in New York, he didn't just blend into the background. He performed with Bruce Springsteen, Michael Stipe, and others. That's serious company. You don't get invited into that circle unless you've earned some respect in the music community. So when he appeared in London, it wasn't out of nowhere. It was the next chapter in a story that's been unfolding quietly for years. Fans are now wondering, will we see more of this? Maybe Depp will join Patti again on her tour. Maybe there'll be another surprise duet somewhere down the line. After all, when artists connect like that, it rarely ends with one performance. There's a real possibility that this is just the beginning of something deeper, a longer collaboration. Or at least a friendship rooted in shared passion, and who knows, maybe there'll be interviews or behind-the-scenes footage soon, where they talk about how it all came together. Patti's known for being thoughtful and reflective, and Depp has been opening up more lately too. If either of them shares more about that night, it'll be fascinating to hear what they say about what it meant to them personally. As for the crowd that night, what an experience. You could see people wiping tears, smiling, cheering, completely taken by surprise. That's the magic of live music. You walk in expecting a show, and you walk out with a memory you'll never forget. Everyone in that audience now has a story they'll tell for years. I was there when Johnny Depp played with Patti Smith. So what do you think about it? Was this a meaningful artistic moment, or just a fun surprise that made headlines for a few days? There's no wrong answer here. But one thing's for sure, it got people talking. And it reminded everyone that Johnny Depp isn't just an actor with a guitar. He's a musician with heart, history, and a real connection to the legends he plays alongside. If this story caught your attention, you might want to look back at Depp's musical journey. His time with Hollywood vampires, those small bar gigs he used to play, and the deep friendships he's formed through music. They all show a side of him that feels more grounded and authentic than the Hollywood persona we usually see. And if you're a fan of Patti Smith, this moment just reinforces how powerful she still is. 50 years after Horses, she's still inspiring artists, bridging generations, and proving that music's power doesn't fade, it evolves. Thanks for hanging out and reliving that incredible night with me. If you like this, Make sure to check out my next video where we dive into Johnny Depp's journey from movie star to rock guitarist and how music became his refuge after fame's chaos. Don't forget to drop your thoughts in the comments. What did you feel when you saw that clip? And subscribe if you want more stories where music and celebrity collide in unexpected ways. Because let's be real, moments like these, when the unexpected happens on stage, are what keep live music alive. You never know who's going to walk out from the wings. 1 minute, it's just another concert. The next, it's Johnny Depp standing beside Patti Smith, and suddenly, history is happening right in front of you.